Hey, good morning. Or is it? It's very early this morning. Today, there's I'm going to go ahead and say two real issues I want to talk about. Minor little things out of the way first. Mr. Finbar, I have not had an opportunity to go to the law library yet. I am still fully aware of 47 U.S.C. 230 that I'm in desperate need of shepherdizing. I still need to get to the law library to do that. What was it? 41 U.S.C. section 2000 AA. I'll have to look it up. But that one is the seizing the work materials. That one I still have to go ahead and shepherdize as well. Haven't forgot about it. Haven't had a chance to get to the library. I also I can shepherdize the Fourth Amendment as far as seizing witnesses. If anybody's wondering out there, I am not particularly of the mindset that what the police did with regards to seizing witnesses is like A-okay. I'm not necessarily saying there is or isn't a cause of action there. I'm just saying that I don't know. So, if you ask me about the First Amendment, I love the First Amendment. I spent a lot of time playing in and studying the First Amendment and figuring things out and reading all the cases. So I'm a little more on the ball about it. If you want to ask me about family law in California, I'd probably be a little more on the ball because I spend a lot of time currently with my nose in the middle of it. This is a bit of a weird situation. This isn't something that is common, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't just poop out an answer right here, right now for you. So those are the little things, I think. Maybe others will pop up. Your mileage may vary. Hemming, Padilla, News Now Houston. What was that other guy's name? Time to Stand. I do not understand why someone's past criminal record as a sexual predator is somehow has bearing on. My dogs have gone out of their way to wrap me up. It's amazing. I don't know how it has bearing on them doing a First Amendment audit. I also don't know how supporting someone doing their First Amendment audit means that you support every other aspect or detail of their life. I watch News Now Houston because of his current activities as an auditor. I do not watch him because of his past activities as a sexual predator. They are different. I work with people who I have no issues with on a professional level. That doesn't mean I'm going to hang out with them at home. So that's a little weird to me. I mean, yeah, it's also weird that these crimes it's okay to do, but these crimes, no. On a visceral level, I understand the distinction that is drawn between a lot of these crimes. I just find it odd that somebody in Mr. Padilla's position would be choosing to take the high moral ground. That's a little weird, but whatever. I caught about 10 minutes of Mr. Hemming's rant on the subject. And I caught a few other people weighing in about the Hemming sausage. Mr. Padilla has been eating the Hemming sausage or some similar nonsense. People are allowed to have opinions. This is odd that I have to tell a group of First Amendment activists, but yeah, everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. I don't understand why it's somehow important what side you're on, other than are you for or against the First Amendment? Are you for or against filming the police in public? Are you for or against filming in courts? Because you could draw distinctions along those lines. Because I am against filming in courts. There you go. I'm a bad man. I'm a statist, etc., etc. But it's odd, I think, that everybody is so desirous of drama that is completely unrelated to the First Amendment, to the filming of police, to anything like that. So, that said, I don't have a particular dog in this fight. I think my actions have been pretty clear that I don't care if Time to Stand has a criminal record or what that criminal record is. He has as much right to his First Amendment activities as anybody else. I don't care if News Now Houston has a criminal record or doesn't. I really don't care. Like, yes, it's information, and yes, you should be aware of it. I mean, I wouldn't let Time to Stand or News Now Houston hang out with a young lady who I'm responsible for, you know, daughter, niece, nephew. I wouldn't do it, but I mean, I don't care if they go out and they film. I just don't care. It's not pertinent. I would much rather have Mr. Warden out there filming, to be perfectly honest with you, than Mr. Padilla, because Mr. Warden hasn't gotten filming revoked for an entire city hall. So that's not saying I'm siding with News Now Houston or siding with anybody. I don't care about their prior criminal records insofar as whether or not I'll watch them. If they get prosecuted for something, or if the police detain them, then I believe the police may find that to be pertinent information. It does give it does give a motive for the actions that Mr. Warden is taking, sure, and the police are going to take that into account. If it's something that the prosecution can tie in, then I'm sure they'll take it into account as well. As far as Mr. Hemming is concerned, Mr. Hemming has a use. Mr. Hemming has a desire to advance the activism, the First Amendment rights. Is Mr. Hemming perfect? No, Mr. Hemming is not. Is he close to perfect? Absolutely not. Is he within spitting distance of being close to perfect? Nope. But he is still useful, he is still valuable, and I think that this community is way too keen on not listening to good advice because they don't like the advice that's given. And while he does have his share of things that I wouldn't consider to be good or valuable, like say for example, an airman issues what you think is a threat. Well, you could take the moral high ground. You can go to his commanding officer or whatever and submit a complaint, or you can berate him on the side of the road and have that video published showing you looking like a bully. I know Mr. Hemming is just sure of himself that this airman has violated the UCMJ. I'm not making any statements anyway on that because I don't know. I am surprised that Mr. Hemming is an expert on the UCMJ. But public perception is important. So I think that he made a big mistake there. I'm going to call people out on what I perceive to be their mistakes, maybe even their successes in the auditing community as far as being auditors is concerned. And I know that everybody thinks that, oh, you're on this side, you're on that side, you're on this side, you're on that side. Everybody thought when I first started that I was against Mr. Hemming, and then I made a video in favor of what he was saying, and everybody's like, ah, you're for Hemming. No, it's terrible. You're a traitor. No, I haven't changed anything. I am evaluating what he says based on what he says. I'm evaluating what he does based on what he does. There are no good people, there are no bad people. There are people who are doing currently bad things or who have a propensity for doing bad things. And there are people who are doing currently good things or have a propensity for doing good things. I don't see the world as simple as a lot of people do. Does that make me better than you? No, I'm not Anna Kasparian. So I think I've hammered that one home long enough. So moving on. Final thing is, Mark Schoenberger posted a link for an article written by Greg Prickett, a Texas attorney. That is important because while Mr. Prickett and I agree on a lot of things, Mr. Prickett has, I believe, an incorrect reading of 36.06 in my estimation. But then again, in any given situation, a lawyer has about a 50% chance of being right or wrong. Mr. Prickett believes that it is a requirement of 36.06 if somebody is posting an address to issue the takedown notice, or the whatever they call it, give them notice that that you want the material taken down, give them 48 hours to respond. That's not what my understanding of prima facie evidence is. However, I've had a evening with a single printout of Westlaw, and he's had the opportunity to take and pass the Texas State Bar. So your mileage may vary. I probably will go over that Westlaw printout again to see if I screwed up. But I don't necessarily think that he's right on that. Now, he did go on to say that there's no way that the third parties could be charged. He didn't cite anything, so I'm taking that under advisement as his best gut instinct. And I will put some credence behind that because, again, he is a lawyer. He's a practicing defense and family law, I believe, lawyer in Texas. So that does have some weight where I come from because he has knowledge. It's prima, his Juris Doctorate combined with his being accepted as a member of the bar is prima facie evidence that he knows what he's talking about. basically it's a rebuttable presumption that the evidence says what it says it says. But I guess somehow he's reading a requirement for it in there, so I got a double look. Anyway, so some things that both Mr. Prickett and I agree on is that the original arrest of Mr. Padilla was pretty sound. We both agree that the subsequent interactions by the police where he got people arrested and confiscated phones for the obstruction of the highway or other passage was retaliatory and probably isn't going to hold up. So we both agree on that. That does not necessarily give you a cause of action, but you may find one. Again, talk to a local Texas attorney. We both agree that the witness thing is probably not going to hold up the way they did it. I don't know enough about the whole third party thing, but he seems to believe that it won't hold up for the third party deal, having somebody else's comments in your live stream. That seems reasonable to me. I don't think it should. But again, I have to express some doubt because I don't know. And he says that that's why these guys' charges were dropped. I think he may have missed that in the initial obstructing a passage, highway or other passage, that Texas Wolfman actually has charges. And I think he may also have missed that in the obstructing or retaliating against a public official that Mr. Freeman and Mr. I can't say it the way I'm supposed to say it, so I'm going to say Nguyen. I fully understand. I fully understand how it's supposed to be pronounced, but there's some people who are and some people who aren't, and he's not. So he's Nguyen. Enjoy. Any Vietnamese people who are out there who are listening to this, I apologize in advance. He was the bad apple in your barrel. So the article out there, I'll pin it, I guess, if I remember to do it. Mr. Schoenberger posted the link. The guy's name is Greg Prickett. It is a newspaper article or a blog article, so it doesn't appear to have the whole lot of legal rigor attached to it. And finally, on that note, while we agree and disagree on some fundamental aspects, and that's great, one thing I don't think that we agree or disagree on is that, well, he didn't say anything on it, so I probably shouldn't phrase it that way. So one thing that I am still firmly of the position on is that the restrictions on filming that Mr. Padilla worked so hard to get put in place in the Leon Valley City Hall, those aren't going to be affected by the actions of the police chief. I know, he's Hitler, he's the Antichrist, he eats babies, and I don't know, he kicks puppies. He's a terrible person, I know. But his subsequent actions do not bring doubt, do not cast doubt on the validity of the prohibition against filming in the City Hall or the environs. So while the people who were arrested and had their cameras seized and things like that, well, they may be able to recover, I'm not going to see this as a huge win for the First Amendment until until all the damage Padilla did is undone. So your mileage may vary on that. Anyway, that's about all I had for this morning. I have a full day ahead of me today. I don't foresee getting to the law library, but it's open late today, so I may have an opportunity to sneak in. I may not. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.